and a parking space.
Excuse me, Mr. Tarkanian?
Why are you interrupting me?
Well, I just thought that you...
You thought? You thought? You do not interrupt me! When I am busy, do you understand me? I do not want you to pull this amateur bull crap, all right? I am a professional! Do you hear me? Do you understand me?
A few years back, I interviewed a candidate for top-tier IT management role. He seemed competent, engaging, personable, and displaying all the leadership qualities that we were looking for. So we brought him on board. During the first week of his job, I popped up by his office just to greet him. He was on a call with a vendor. So I waited there for a few minutes and listened to what he was talking to the vendor. I witnessed a completely different side of him compared to what we had hired. He came off as very crass, aggressive, short-tempered, and rude. His unprofessional and uncalled for behavior made me feel like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde scenario. I couldn't help but feel embarrassed for him. Despite his conduct, he managed to hold on to the role, obviously at the cost of his team. Unfortunately, his department became a revolving door, people coming in and going out. And unfortunately, his case is not the unique one. Over the years, I have personally witnessed many such counterproductive behaviors among middle and upper management team members. And here are 5 toxic traits that I have identified. Before we further explore the topic of identifying toxic bosses, please do consider subscribing to this channel if the subjects of business, management, economy are of interest to you. So let us delve further and identify the traits of a toxic boss. First, a boss who's never wrong. Have you ever had a boss who seems to think that they are always right and you are always wrong? They find it tough to admit when they are at fault and prefer to shift blame or avoid taking responsibility of their action. Their top priority seems to be protecting their image and avoiding any appearance of making mistakes. Can you think of any such boss that you have worked with? Do mention his name in the comments and also mention how you handled that boss of yours. The second most predominant trait of a toxic boss is he or she cannot communicate properly or effectively. Have you ever had a boss who seems to always keep you in dark or only gives you only half the story? It can be frustrating when they don't communicate clearly or stick to their word, leaving everyone unsure of where they stand. Sometimes it feels like they say something on Monday and completely change their direction on a Wednesday without informing the team members. Dealing with this kind of a boss may feel like you need a magic decoder ring just to understand them. Third and most visible trait of any toxic boss is they are highly controlling. Working for a controlling boss can be downright demoralizing. This boss is about micromanaging every little thing that you do in office or outside without leaving any breathing space whatsoever. They want to control everything, don't trust the team, and refuse to delegate. Group discussions or inputs, forget about it. This leadership style is all about your boss, a dictatorship. There is no space for creativity or learning something new. It is all about taking orders and reporting back, no questions asked. Trait number 4, and I'm sure you would have come across many such bosses, the blamey boss. When you interact with such kind of a boss, you will immediately notice his tendency to blame all others except for himself. His or her behavior stems from lack of personal accountability, which often indicates a character issue. Now this prompts a question: how did this person ascend to this level of management? Can you think of any of your bosses or colleagues who fall in this category of blamey ones, always blaming others? Do mention them in the comments, and also do mention as to how you handled them. The fifth trait about a toxic boss that many of us would have worked in past, the untrustworthy boss. This type of a boss can take down the whole department or team by fostering a culture of distrust, making it unsafe to share information or collaborate closely. Job security for employees becomes a daily concern due to the unpredictable atmosphere posed by this manager. Team members are left to fend for themselves, unsure about whom to trust. In such a volatile and politically charged workspace, relying on peers feels risky. They may turn out to be adversaries or yes men of your toxic boss who is pulling strings behind the scene. Trusting this kind of a manager may be a career suicide. It can be very wisely advised that with such a boss or such kind of an atmosphere, it is prudent to update your CV and look out for a job. Do let me know in comment your views about this video. Anything specific that you want me to take up in my next video. For any other questions or understanding, please feel free to write to me on my mail ID, which is mentioned in the description. Be inspired, keep building.